Organizations supporting Southern black women in about a dozen states will get financial help from the Southern Black Women and Girls Consortium. The group is giving $2 million to 71 black-led organizations. LaTosha Brown, co-founder of Southern Black Girls and Women's Consortium, joins us now. LaTosha, thank you so much for joining us here on Roland Martin Unfiltered.
Thank you for having me.
So we're so excited to hear about this, right? These 71 different organizations. And the thing that I like most about this is because these are the organizations that are on the ground doing the work. And so explain to our audience a little bit of how this money is being allocated, what it's allocated for, and who some of the recipients will be.
You know, what we had is I had a vision a couple of years ago that we needed to make sure that we were putting more money on the ground for Black-led groups, for groups that actually service Black girls and women. And part of what we did is over the last 3 years, we've been building the network of the consortium, which are Black women and Black girls consortium, to build the power of Black women and Black girls by funding, supporting their work, and also amplifying their work. And so what we did is this cycle, we were able to provide over $2 million in funding, $2.2 million in funding to 71 groups that are based throughout the South. We work in 12 states in the South, throughout the South, for Black girls. Some of the organizations that we're working with, like Destination Liberation, is an organization that is providing travel opportunities, travel and educational opportunities for young Black girls to actually have experiences, girls particularly from rural areas in the Deep South. We're looking at organizations that are doing work around leadership development, organizations that are doing work around self-image, organizations that are doing work around music and the arts and the cultural arts. So the whole notion is that we would actually support what we believe are Black girls. That Black girls, we think that Black girls are the future. Just as Black women are leading on the front lines, we recognize that Black girls have been severely underfunded, underinvested. And so our organization is seeking to build that network of organizations throughout the region to be able to give funding to connect, to share, to learn, and to amplify the voices of Black girls.
Now, there's a particular focus on Southern Black girls and women and Southern Black women-led organizations. How is that particularly unique and necessary given the moment we're living in today?
You know, part of what brought this about, there was a study that was done by the Southern Rural Black Women's Initiative, and it was called Unequal Lives. And what it talked about was that Black women in the South, Black women and girls in the South, received less than 1% of philanthropic dollars. Of the $4 billion that were coming in the South, less than 1% of those dollars were going to Black women and Black girls in the South. When you look at the South, the majority of African Americans actually live in the South. When you look at the kind of investment in the South, particularly in organizations that are doing social justice work, organizations that are working with Black women and Black girls, they're severely underfunded. And so what we wanted to do is we wanted to create a solution that was really around being led. Everything about this, from the inception of it to the execution of it, has been designed, implemented by Black women and girls. And what we wanted to do is create a self-determination model that we actually believe that we are the solutions to our problems, that we would put our heads together, we would bring our skills, our talents to bear, and we would create this consortium, this network that would support and lift up the leadership and the work of Black women and girls, those organizations that are centering the needs and the interests of and the voices of Black girls and women in the South, in a region that has been severely underfunded and underinvested. And so that was a part of the work that we've been doing.
Even before allocating the money, what has been the response of some of the organizations that you guys have umbrellaed over and provided that larger sense of resource, support, and needed enthusiasm and resource, as I mentioned earlier? What's been the response to those organizations when they've now been like almost a federation with you guys?
You know, we have been honored. We have learned so much. We see this as a village. We see this as what we wanted to do is we wanted to shift this paradigm of this grantee-grantor relationship that philanthropy has, and we think in many ways is very exploitive. That philanthropy usually approaches these issues as the philanthropy knows what's best, and they've got to find, and then the organizations or groups have to show that they're worthy enough to get the investment. We actually want to reverse that. what we wanted to do is to make sure that we were providing resources, but that we were co-thinking about it, that we set our priorities, not in a vacuum, not in an office in New York or Atlanta somewhere, but in community. So what we did is for almost 18 months, we went all around the region. We had convenings of listening sessions with Black girls and women, and we talked to Black girls. We had two questions. The first question was, what is a Black girl's dream? What is your dream? And the second thing is, what is needed to make that dream, to support that dream from manifesting, right? And so as a result, we created our programs. We have four funds. Our fund that we've launched, that this comes out of, is called the Black Girl Dream Fund. The whole purpose of this fund is to support the dreams and support an environment, those organizations that are working to have an environment so that Black girls, Southern Black girls' dreams can come true. Right. And so part of what we have been doing is building this relationship and this ecosystem that we're knowledge sharing. All of the grant decisions are actually made by what is called wisdom councils, that there are people within the community, Black women and girls in the community from the South, that we believe that they best know what it is that they need, that all of the grant making decision is, the recommendations are by that panel. And so that all along the process, we're showing that this is a self-determination model, that we are literally the solutions to our own challenges.
LaTosha, that sounds wonderful, and it encourages me. It gets me to think about something that we say often, which is, what is the purpose of having Black folks in charge of things if they're just going to do it the same way that other folks were doing it before? So you all being the grantors now, it sounds fantastic that you're having a democratic center-out approach as far as the top-down. Reminds me of one of my heroes, Ella Baker. Are you finding that the organizations that you're partnering with, in the services they're providing to the girls and women in the communities they're in, are also modeling that center-out approach as opposed to top-down?
Oh, absolutely. You know, one of the organizations I'll just lift up right now is in South Carolina. Is an organization called Every Black Girl. And Vivian Anderson leads that organization. And the young women that we're seeing take leadership, that are actually they're doing conferences, they're creating businesses. We're seeing Black women are creating spaces and support networks for Black girls to be centered in it, but not be centered in a way that they are seen as victims, but that they are actually seen as contributors to all of us. That we believe that when you literally you create the space for Black girls to thrive, then that helps all of us thrive. And so part of what we're seeing is we're seeing all this work being led and at the center of this work by young women. You know, we have 22 ambassadors, youth ambassadors, most of them are in high school, that not only they've been informing this work, but they've been shaping this work. They're planning a tour this summer, that they're going to go around and meet with other Black girls all across the South and talk about what their dreams are. That part of what we're doing is we're standing in the middle of a dream that actually centers Black girls' voices in our leadership, and that through that process, it is being co-led by Black women and Black girls. It's a multi-generational strategy. And what we believe is that we're going to make a difference, because we believe that part of the biggest resource in the South are that Black women and Black girls.
I'm going to go to my panel in just a second. I would love for them to offer their questions to you, LaTosha. But before I do, tell our audience about the Black Girl Dream Fund that you alluded to, that's actually ultimately a $100 million effort that we want to see through to its fruition at the end. Tell our audience about that, please.
So listen, when we're talking about a Black girl dream, we're talking about a big Black girl dream. That's what we're saying. We're talking about big dreams. We have this is a 10-year initiative, $100 million. The Southern Black Girls and Women's Consortium is a $100 million 10-year initiative. Everything about it has been actually organized, funded, and supported by Black women and Black girls. That we've raised $11 million so far. We actually have 4 funds that are set up. And just like we said, we have our first funding cycle, which we're very excited about. We've actually just invested over $2.2 million to organizations that service and work and center Black girls' leadership currently right now. And so our goal is for every year for the next 10 years, the next decade, over the course of a decade, we will actually build the resources and invest $100 million in organizations and efforts that support and center the voices and the leadership of Black girls and Black women.
Well, we're going to start the questions on our panel with our Black woman here. Kelly, go right ahead.
Thank you. First and foremost, I've been a fan of LaTosha for years now, especially when it comes to Black Voters Matter. So it's an honor to be speaking with you again. My question for you regarding this initiative is, while I know that these organizations are vast in their missions and their causes in their respective states and communities. Is there, outside of money, of course, is there a common dream or a common denominator that these Black girls, these Southern Black girls, want to see to fruition? And how has your organization, how has this fund helped propel those dreams?
Thank you for asking that question. I want people to understand that we actually are a consortium. A fund is, we've got these 4 funds that are actually a part of the work. That's part of the resource and investment work. But what we see is we see this as a larger network of organizations, of thought leaders, of women and girls who are coming together to figure out how can we address not only our problems, but how can we actually contribute and use our skills. And so part of what has happened, I talked about, we did these listening sessions for about 18 months, but since that time, we've done a number of things that not just around money, but we've done a number of things to support Black women and Black girls. One of the things that we did is during COVID, we recognized that many organizations that had been supporting Black girls were actually very vulnerable in that minute, very vulnerable out of COVID. And that many of them, what we also saw, and we were hearing from our partners on the ground, that there was an increase in domestic violence. There was an increase in what people were going through at home. Home is not a safe place for many folks. And that girls were actually saying that they needed outlets, they needed space. Some of them were also talking about how they were depressed because of COVID. And so we created a special opportunity, which was to provide some support for those organizations that were on the front lines, that to be able in COVID, that some of this extra demand for them to actually support Black girls, that we would actually support them, not just connect them with resources, but also provide them with funding directly. In addition to that, we've also been developing leadership pipelines. We wanted to demonstrate that it's not just about centering, just objectifying girls, that we needed to create spaces that we can pour into Black girls. And so one of the things we had is we had a Black girls table talk where we literally brought experts in the subjects that Black girls decided that they wanted to learn more, whether it was around self-esteem, whether it's around how you develop a plan, how you even put together a business, all of those different elements. We had people like Anjanou Ellis, the actress Anjanou Ellis, to come up and talk about her journey, to be able to bring these young women with other Southern women who have actually broken barriers. In addition to that, one of the things that we did is we actually had a dream corps where there were 58 Black girls who said that they had a dream, and that they, in their dream, that they had a particular kind of goal as part of their long-term dream. They had a short-term goal of what they wanted to do. Some of them talked about what they felt, and where there was a common denominator is Black girls wanted to feel like they were seen, that they were seen in a way that they were respected and they were valued. Over and over and over again, that's what we heard, that they wanted to be respected, they wanted to be valued, they wanted their ideas to be supported. And so as a result of this Dream Corps initiative that we did, we had almost 70 girls that we actually put an investment seed in their dreams. We also put them with a coach. They had a team. We had a dream coach, and they had a support network so that they actually could develop a plan of what they wanted to do to actually meet this particular goal as part of their larger dreams. In addition to that, ongoing, what was really interesting is when we first started, we hired an evaluation team of Black women who did an evaluation to actually identify some of the things that Black girls said that they wanted. What was really interesting is that many of the Black girls overwhelmingly were concerned, not just about themselves, but they were concerned about their family, the economic stress on their family. And one of the number one issues that kept coming up, ironically, which was actually surprising to me, was around healthcare. There was a lot of anxiety with Black girls around healthcare and stress, and how their family, how medical issues had impacted their families and had impacted them personally. And so another thing that kept coming up is they wanted expanded experiences. They wanted to be able to try new things. They wanted to be able to travel. And so those are some things that came up in our work.
Absolutely. Michael, go ahead.
All right, LaTosha, thanks for sharing this with us. And between Black Voters Matter and this, I don't know where you find all the time to do all this work, but this is excellent. I know one of your new grantee partners is Brown Girls Read from Spartanburg, South Carolina, and they deal with literacy and making African American girls lifelong readers, things like this, and connect this to leadership skills. Can you talk about the importance of literacy, Comprehension, and one of the reasons why that organization was created was because of it was driven by the 2019 Nation Report Card from the National Assessment of Educational Progress. Can you talk about that?
Absolutely. I'm so glad. We are so proud of the work and so proud to be partnering with them, because at the end of the day, part of what they're doing is shifting the culture, that we're saying that it is cool to be smart. It is that we are literally, not only are our Black girls fly, right? Not only
Yes.
Black girls got flavor and spice, but we are brilliant. That we have, that literally we would take the space to be able to understand that many of them know that the foundation of education, that there has economic benefits in that. And so many of the organizations that we're supporting have actually made that a key initiative for them, that Black girls are actually seeing themselves. And that was one of the key pieces that came out of our research around Black girls saw themselves as lifelong learners. And so as it's really key and critical, because what we recognize is that many of the girls also said that they feel like that education is failing them, that they are not getting the full experience of learning about their history, learning about who they are, and learning some of the things that they're interested in learning about that can actually help them as they pick their careers going forward.
And Xavier.
LaTosha, congratulations for all your great work with young Black girls. With you having your organization get $11 million and a goal of $100 million, what attention have you paid to connecting to larger foundations and others that manage significant amount of assets for foundations collecting significant amount of sums to be able to make sure that there are diverse handling of those funds, also growing those funds? So it's just beyond the not just the donations that you're taking in, but also creating a pathway of wealth and revenue for the organization to continue to succeed and continue to thrive, and able to support those businesses and those dreams of those young ladies as you continue to carry out your mission.
Thank you so much for that question. It's an excellent question. Matter of fact, one of the funds that we've created is a philanthropic partnership fund that we will provide matching dollars with another foundation that will actually support Black girls. Part of what we want to do, and we created this organization as a model, that we're saying if we can come up with $100 million, organizations, large foundations, that have millions of dollars of resources, corporations that have millions of dollars of resources. If you don't know how to fund Black girls, we'll show you. We have a model that we're willing to share our information, share our data, and partner with you. And because of that, one of the funds that we set up is specifically to actually facilitate that partnership. That part of what we wanted to do when we were creating the Southern Black Girls Consortium, we knew that $100 million, based on the structural issues that we have in this region, that's barely a drop in the bucket of what we need in our communities and investment, but that it would be catalytic, that our fund would actually be an activator. It would be catalytic, that we would provide a model to show and to demonstrate that this works, that we would also show and connect, that we would have a consortium and a network of hundreds of organizations that we can lift up and share their work. So if there are those that want to invest, there would be no reason that if you want to find good work, here we are. We can find some for you. We can connect you with organizations on the ground. And then the third thing is we want to also actually shift this culture of not funding Black girls and women. And so part of doing that is setting up this matching fund so that if a foundation, we would say, if you want to set up, we want you to set up, we are encouraging them. We're meeting with other foundations. We're having conversations. We're meeting with donors. We're having donor tours. Matter of fact, this summer, we're actually going to do a donor tour with the girls as part of actually talking to them about in their portfolio, making sure that there's a commitment to support Black girls as well.
That is fantastic. LaTosha, we thank you so much. We know you're super busy. Michael told you everything you have going on. So we're going to let you go. We appreciate you taking this time speaking with us here on Roland Martin Unfiltered. But you know you family. So thank you for stopping by again. Go ahead and get yourself a to-go plate, put some aluminum foil on it, and go ahead and let yourself out when you leave.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Sure enough. We're going to take